One police officer is killed in America every 58 hours. That was how the KCPD chief, Darryl Forte, opened his speech at the 56th annual Mayor's Prayer Breakfast.
He didn't hold back when it came to talking about violence against police officers, his relationship with the community, and race. KCTV5's Alexis Del Cid has the story all new at 5.
City leaders say the mission of these prayer breakfasts is the emphasis on the spirit of morality, ethics, and spirituality in all areas of government and leadership. And Chief Forte touched on all of that within the context of what's happening in America today and here in Kansas City.
You being a black male coming up in Kansas City, you have to be twice as good as somebody else in order to be considered average.
Long before he was the Kansas City police chief, Darryl Forte says that wisdom was imparted on him by people he looked up to as he was coming up in Kansas City. And when he became the city's first black police chief in 2011, Forte says there were plenty of people who told him he'd never make it.
As the first African-American chief, I fight some things and I fought some things that other chiefs didn't have to fight. I've met with 4 former chiefs, and one, well, 2 of them. One told me early on and one told me later they didn't think I was going to last a year under the pressures that I had.
And there has been plenty of pressure. This past fall, the rise of violent crime in Kansas City got national attention, with Kansas City one of 7 cities in America singled out in the FBI's report on crime statistics. For cities with at least 400,000 residents, Kansas City came in number 5, the 5th highest. But he credits community policing by his officers with keeping violence from escalating to levels and situations seen in other cities in America.
It's so important that we not divide ourselves. And the reason we haven't had a Ferguson, Milwaukee, Baltimore, and some of those other places, we have great people here, and I think we have people to understand. I'm out in the field almost every day.
And one thing he says he'll keep pushing for is diversity on the police force and in leadership positions across the city. And he'll keep pushing not just for recruitment, but also advancement.
They don't mind you recruiting people, bringing them in and talking about we need more blacks. But when you said we need more black commanders or we need more black supervisors or whatever, now it's a problem. And those are things that we need to challenge, and I'll continue to challenge those things as a chief, not as a black chief, but as a chief.
The police chief regularly hosts one-on-one meetings with community members who live in neighborhoods designated as crime hotspots to work on ways to curb the violence. But he also challenges everyone watching not living in those hotspots to address your own personal assumptions about race and class. He calls it CYA, challenge your assumptions, and he says he'll never stop pushing for that. Alexis Del Cid, KCTV5 News.